Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Six Sided Scholars. This is your TNA pay per view post show here at BC WrestlePod. And it's been quite some time since the Six Sided Scholars have been on camera. But my name is Mikey El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, and I am here tonight to do a quick recap, post show, whatever you want to call it, for TNA Slammiversary. Yes, the date on the slide is correct. The pay per view happened Sunday, June 28th. So that was about a week and some change ago. The reason that it was, as I said on previous shows this week, I have been on a bit of a vacation. I was in Salt Lake City and now I am back. And I'm here because I want to talk about Slammiversary because this definitely I have to say, I still am a little worried for TNA's future as somebody who's been watching this for, you know, since the pandemic era. I fell in love with TNA during the pandemic era, but I have to say this was a really solid show. And the last 2 weeks have been very interesting in terms of moving forward. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that has happened, with certain people gone from the company and stuff like that. You also might be throughout this review, me looking down while I am talking. It is because I am also trying to read my notes and I am also trying to make sure that, I'm making sure I'm doing all the stuff that needs to be done because I'll be out again next week. But without further ado, let's get into it. But actually, before I do that, you already know this intro. You can see us go live on pretty much every streaming site. So you can pick one and watch us there or wait for our edited review that goes up 24 hours later. We have merch at our store, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. We also, of course, have social medias at BC WrestlePod, in which we have, report cards, previews of most of the major U.S. And some international based weekly television programs. So that's always a good time for sure. But yeah, we have a little coffee pot too if you want to help donate to the cause and all that good stuff. So that would be fun. Alrighty. But without further ado, let's just get into it, shall we? Because we do have a lot to get into. Excuse me, it has been a busy day here, but it's been also really hot, but we're gonna make it through. Alrighty, let's get into this. So, like I said, I am going to be here to cover the TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view that took place Sunday, June 28th. We have two matches on the pre-show to talk about, and then we are also going to get into the main card as well. So without further ado, let's us begin. So on the countdown show, there were two matches to talk about. So we're going to talk about this one first. So this was a triple threat match between in the knockouts division. So this was Indy Hartwell versus Mara Sade versus Elena Black. Now, these three have kind of been around each other for a little bit, and they've kind of been swarming around each other, and they've kind of been beefing in similar capacities, and so everything just kind of came to a head for this one. I'm not gonna lie. I said this along with Radio Will as we got closer to Slammiversary and even on our go home show. These three have kind of been circling around each other, but they're not really been doing much outside of fighting each other on and off. I thought this should have been for a number one contendership match, but that is definitely not the case here. But I will admit, it wasn't the worst thing on the planet. I also didn't think it was really good. I feel like the pace was a little off for this match, which was kind of disappointing, given the fact that I know these three can go. I will say though, the one big positive for me here in this one is Mara Sade. I think that she is somebody who is pretty good in the ring. She's gotten a lot better. She's learning. And I think she just has a star quality and a star presence with her for this one. I really do enjoy her. I love Indy. I think Elena is great. My biggest issue is that I'm hoping that the knockouts will get more featured on television and we'll get to do all that fun stuff. Again, the match itself was nothing to write home about. This was a pretty okay, decent match. After a bit of some back and forth, of course, it would be Elena Black who would end up picking the victory here. I'm really hoping that we start to see Elena in the Knockouts title picture scene because, like, she did get a shot at Sacrifice back in March, but we haven't really seen her do too much of anything. So I'm really hoping that she gets a shot. I would like to see Mara Sade get a shot. I just don't know what the plan is for any of these three. Like, they're not going after the Knockouts title. Well, who knows? That might change, but they're all involved in some capacity with the announcement that happened after this match, because after this match, we get the announcement that TNA is introducing a Knockouts Television Championship, which the rule and the whole entire premise of this championship is that this championship would be defended on TNA television, which means, at least from my understanding of the rules that have been set in place, that this new championship is not going to be on pay-per-views, but just for television, which is cool and everything. And I love that. But I'm a little hesitant because of the fact that we talked about this before, that I feel that the knockouts division isn't being booked properly, and having another title just to have another title for me doesn't necessarily bode all the confidence in me for the knockouts being booked better. But hey, I do appreciate that we are going to get everyone involved in the knockouts division, as well as a couple people from the independent scene, which I will talk about after uh, we talk about Slammiversary. But Elena Black picks it up. We get the announcement of the Knockouts Television Championship, and we have a tournament that is going to go into all of it. So this should be interesting and should be fun to say. But the other match that we have on the countdown is this one. This is kind of a grudge match, if you will. These two have been kind of going back and forth a little bit over the last 2 months. We have Eric Young taking on TNA's newest signee, Mr. Bang Bang Sosa himself, Mr. Ricky Sosa. Um, I will say this actually was a pretty good match. I'm going to give this match a lot of credit. I know I have kind of talked about how Eric Young's place on the TNA roster has been very weird, and he hasn't really been doing much of anything since the beginning of this year. And this whole entire feud has been Eric Young, Ricky Sosa not being respectful of the old guard here in TNA, and Eric Young feels like he has to teach him a lesson. However, Ricky Sosa in this match would be the one to kind of turn it around. Eric Young did get some good offense into this match, but Ricky Sosa would fire back. And ultimately, it would be Ricky Sosa who picked up the victory here. I think this is a good place to kind of talk about um, what has been going on. So, you know what? We'll just talk about it here, right? So, Eric Young uh, had this match against Ricky Sosa, and then we would learn last week that Eric Young was requested and granted his release from his contract to TNA. So Eric Young is no longer a part of the TNA roster. He is gone. He is not part of the TNA roster or anything like that. And honestly, to me, I'm kind of a little bit surprised. I know he wasn't really doing much in TNA since the beginning of this year, but I am really surprised to see Eric Young gone. I thought Eric Young would be one of those people that kind of sticks it out um, for the long haul in TNA, but he is done. He has wrapped it up with TNA. He's been granted his release. And according to reports, he is looking to head on over to WWE and NXT to kind of be a player slash coach over there. Um, which is crazy to me. And again, I know that Eric Young hasn't been doing much of anything in TNA as of late, but it is still kind of a shock that, you have a good veteran in Eric Young kind of leaving TNA to go to greener pastures for all intents and purposes. And I wish nothing but the best for Eric Young. Um, But it's also not really helping TNA's case with everything that has been going on since they're losing talent left and right since November of last year. So it's really unfortunate. So, but Ricky Sosa wins. It seems that Ricky and Leon Slater will be teaming up together, which is cool, and I actually like that. But hopefully, Eric Young will find success out. Not that he's not part of TNA anymore, and I wish nothing but the best for him. And yeah, I want him to find success. So, anywho, now that we've got the countdown out of the way, let's get into the main card. So we kick things off with our Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. So we have Cedric Alexander technically defending this title against Fabian Eichner, Mr. Elegance, Amazing Red, Leon Slater, who we were told that Ultimate X is his contractual rematch for the X Division Championship, Casey Navarro and Frankie Kazarian. This match was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Everybody got their spots in. This had a good mix of high-paced action, comedy spots, and death-defying stunts, which I love. The only big issue that I had with this is I felt that this match really didn't get into second or third gear. Like everything was going, and I wish we got more time with this match because I felt that if they were given at least like maybe 5 or 7 extra more minutes, we could have really fleshed everything out. But for what we got, this was amazing. Amazing Red and Leon Slater, were the last two towards the tail end of this. It looked like that one of them was going to win. Leon Slater ends up grabbing the title. And as Leon is getting ready to fall down onto the mat, Cedric Alexander comes and swipes the title away from Leon and thus retaining it through shenanigans and trickery. So your winner and still X Division champion is Cedric Alexander. Now, when it comes to the X Division Championship, we did have a number one contenders like multi-man fatal like elimination like match uh within the last 2 weeks. Fabian Eichner won the number one contenders match, so he will be facing Cedric Alexander for the title in the future. So it should be fun. Now, after the match, though, Frankie Kazarian gets on the mic and Amazing Red is still in the ring. And Frankie is the one to let Amazing Red know that at Bound for Glory in October, Amazing Red will be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, which I love for Amazing Red. Incredible wrestler, crazy fun career in TNA and outside of TNA. And I'm really happy to see Red get his flowers and recognition for what he's done in the business. He is fantastic. But yeah, Ultimate X I thought was a really fun way to open the main card. And the only real critique I have is I wish it got more time, but this was a fantastic opener for sure. We move on to our next match for Slammiversary, which is this match. AJ Francis versus Elijah. The story going into this match is that Elijah is looking to get his uh sorry Elijah to get all his music and catalog and likeness back from AJ Francis and his lawyers. Surprised that there was no like stipulation, like no DQ, not like a crazy match. There was just a regular match. I thought this match was pretty decent. Again, there was nothing too crazy about it, but I don't think it was bad. This was your big man on meaty man match because Elijah's a big boy. AJ Francis is a big boy, and I actually thought they had pretty good chemistry together in this one. Of course, AJ Francis would have his valet consequences out there, causing him some distraction throughout the match, but ultimately, Elijah ends up pick. Sorry, Elijah ends up picking up the victory against AJ Francis. He gets his guitar back, his music catalog, his likeness, all that stuff. And this was a silly story going into Bound for Glory, but needs to be sometimes wrestling just needs to be silly, and we don't need to be serious all the time, honestly. And this was a pretty good match. Again, nothing to write home about, but I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and I had a blast with this one. And it seems that Elijah is heading into another feud very soon, so that should be fun as well. And so is AJ Francis. So it looks like it's AJ and Moose and Frankie Kazarian in some capacity. So should be pretty fun. Now we're gonna move on from this particular match, and we're gonna go into our next one, which is for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Of course, this is the Elegance brand versus Rosemary and Ali, who are going by Demon X Bunny. So really fun match. I actually really enjoyed this one. Again, we had some comedy spots. We had some pretty solid wrestling. Again, the knockouts world, this match didn't go for too long. We got it to at least the 11-12 minute mark, but I really liked this match and I was really happy with the outcome. Rosemary and Ali are your new TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions. I just feel really bad for the Elegance brand because since they got the tag titles back, they really haven't defended these titles all that often and they really haven't been giving much of a storyline either. And that's kind of unfortunate. And I really want that better for our knockouts here in TNA. But would be remiss to say I am so if I wasn't happy for Rosemary and Ali getting the titles. I really hope they allow Rosemary and Ali to have a fun run, and I want them to actually have a substantial and a decent feud. Like now that Rosemary and Ali have these titles, I just don't want them collecting dust. I want them to be given a feud to defend the titles against. So I'm really hoping that is the case. Again, nothing to write home about. This is a pretty decent match. But I still had a lot of fun with this, and I was super happy of the outcome of Rosemary and Ali picking up the victory here. After this match, we get into our TNA International Championship Open Challenge match. So Mustafa Ali would be defending his title against an opponent in this Open Challenge. Now we learned uh, prior to this match on the Countdown show, we learned that Santino and Daria Ray have both found opponents for Mustafa Ali. And Mustafa was told on the Countdown show that his match would now be a triple threat. So, in the open challenge, Daria Ray selected Rich Homie Swan to be the opponent. And Santino's pick was Mr. Woo Nation, formerly known as Apollo Crews in WWE. I thought this match was pretty fun. Again, another solid match, nothing to go too crazy about, but I think that Mustafa Ali does really well against any type of opponent. Rich Swan is very underrated, and I feel like we all need to talk about it more. And UA Nation was pretty good. I really wish that they let UA do more in WWE, but again, he's no longer with the company. He's out here doing stuff, so I wouldn't mind seeing you kind of stick around a little bit for TNA. No word on him signing or anything, but I enjoyed this match. Mustafa Ali would retain the international championship, and this was a pretty decent match. I really like this one. Moving on from this match, we go into our no surrender match. This is the grudge match. This is the final match between Eddie Edwards and Moose. So Moose has been long feuding with the system forever, and now it's kind of come into this final form of no surrender. So if you are unfamiliar with the no surrender match in TNA, essentially this is an anything goes, no disqualification match, and the only way to win is that the valet or the partner of your opponent must throw in the towel. So to win, your opponent's side must throw in the towel in order to be declared the victor. So that means you win this match by any means necessary. And this match was a convoluted mess, but like in the best way possible because we had chains, tables, kendo sticks. Moose's son and wife got involved in the match, like they were getting attacked, and they were also attacking Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards. This was crazy match. Now, as Moose was preparing to do a spear for Eddie Edwards into the table, Alicia gets in and throws the towel, so Moose is declared the victor. However, Moose still spears Eddie and Alicia Edwards through the table as like the final statement. I thought this was a fun gimmicky match. Again, nothing too serious about it. This was actually pretty fun to watch and really solid wrestling. And I believe I could officially say after watching the last 2 weeks of TNA that we are officially done with Moose taking on the system. We are done with that feud. We have put it to bed now, hopefully. And Moose is now moving on to other things. So, really, really fun match. I didn't hate it, and I thought it was pretty solid. Now, this match, it was actually probably my favorite match of the night. This is for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. This is Lang Lee versus Zaya Brookside. Two best friends turned bitter rivals in enemies in this one. So this match is actually really good. Only I think, and I'd say that because Zaya Brookside really came up. She showed up and she showed out. I think this was a really good performance from Zaya, and I think that she really has come into her own as a heel. Lang Lee is also fantastic. So honestly, I really dug this match. This is super solid, really good stuff. They really took each other to the limit for this one. And this is and I miss this ferocity from the knockouts division. And I've been saying this for the longest time. I feel like once we lost Tiana and Jordan and Trinity, because they moved on to other green pastures, and also like Killer Kelly and also Masha Slamovich. So Masha kind of did it to herself with everything that transpired with her ex-partner. Um, but I've been missing the intensity and the ferocity and the craziness that the Knockouts division can do with this championship. And we've seen this title be held by NXT stars, and not really being given to our knockouts. So I'm really happy that we had an actual TNA knockout versus TNA knockout match for this championship. And this would be fantastic. Zaya Brookside would win this match, and she is our new TNA Knockouts World Champion. And she defended the title again against Lei Lee in a rematch last night in a no DQ match, which was also really good. And so Zaya Brookside is the new face of the TNA Knockouts division as its champion. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, and I'm wondering what we do with Laying Lee next as well. So, really good stuff. This is probably my favorite match of the entire night. Now, from the gimmick and the sports entertainment portion of this match, this also was a really fun match. We get a ladder match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, the system defending the titles against the Hardys, the Righteous, and the Great Hands. Spots were fantastic. This was a really fun sports entertainment match. Bear Bronson bringing a little bit of his, death wrestling, into this match. The Righteous doing great. Great Hands are fantastic. The only problem that I have, and I know we say this all the time, but I don't understand why the Hardys won these tag team titles. I really do not. And I'm gonna tell you why I asked this question. TNA, at least in the men's division, like for some odd reason, we have built the tag team division against the Hardys. Now, no shade. The Hardys are legends in wrestling, especially in tag team wrestling. And I'm just sitting here and I understand that. But why is it that TNA cannot build their tag team division around other teams to be champion except for the Hardys? Like the system, Bear and Brian Myers have not they only defended their titles once since they won them. And the fact that the Hardys have them again is just a slap in the face, and it really frustrates me because the Hardys should not have to be tag team champions. You have the Righteous, the Great Hands, the System. You have enough men's tag teams to build champions around a team that is not the Hardys. The Hardys do not need the titles at this point. And I understand they bring the nostalgia and they bring the fans, but at this point they have nothing else to prove. They're going to go down as legends. It's time to establish new tag teams, TNA. And I am going to be frustrated and mad about that because I want to see these tag teams, these newer tag teams, these tag teams that don't get these opportunities to get a shot to run with it. The Hardys don't need it, man. You could tell I get passionate about this, but I just want the tag team division to not be built around the Hardys. I don't get it. I really don't. I know that TNA is probably relying again on the nostalgia factor of the Hardys, but they do not need the championships because the Hardys should be putting over other teams, but they're not, and it frustrates me. Anyways, but outside of that, I thought everybody in this match, including the Hardys, They played their parts very well. They all took bumps. This was really fun. I'm just really disappointed that the Hardys are champions again because they don't need the titles. And it sucks to say that. And I know people are going to come after me, but it's time to start building up this division that don't require the Hardys, man. Anyways, we're gonna move on because I could be here forever. So we get into our main event of Slammiversary, which is for the TNA World Championship. This is Mike Santana defending his title against Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth is cashing in his Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy to get this match. And the writing has been on the wall going into here. There was a small part of me that hoped that Mike would retain, but Nick Nemeth, spoiler alert, is your new TNA World Champion. Now, I will say that I really didn't like this match. I thought it was a pretty solid bout between the two. Again, not the craziest or not the most insane match of the card, but I thought this was a really solid bout. They both brought it. And with the news that, Mike Santana was getting ready to finish up, his contract was coming up in July. I figured that Nick Nemeth would win, and that she sure enough did. So Nick Nemeth is currently our TNA World Champion. It seems that he and Casey Navarro are kind of going at it, which is fun. Mike Santana has reportedly finished up with TNA. He also teased something that on Wednesday, July 19th, he was going to do something. So I don't know what that entails, but according to reports, some people are speculating Mike Santana is going to go to WWE, which would be fun. A lot of people said he would go to AEW, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, no, I don't think Mike Santana gonna go back to AEW because he came from there. But wherever Mike Santana goes, I'm excited, and I'm gonna support him because he is my Puerto Rican champion forever, and I love him. Nick Nemeth should be interesting as world champion, and we'll see who ends up being the one to dethrone him, if at all, this year. But that's it for Slammiversary. And again, I kind of want to briefly finish up by talking about everything else that has been going on in TNA. Like I said, Eric Young and Mike Santana are finished up with TNA. They are no longer part of the company. Eric Young is reportedly heading to be a coach slash player over at WWE and NXT. Mike Santana, don't know where he is going to end up, but it's some good stuff as well. Leon Slater and Ricky Sosa are looking to become a tag team, which would be fun. Casey Navarro and Nick Nemeth are fighting. Moose and Frankie Kazarian and AJ Francis are involved in some stuff. And then, of course, all the knockouts that are not Zaya Brookside or Demon X Bunny are participating to become the inaugural TNA Knockouts Television Champion. So we've seen some really fun matches. Of course, I really like seeing Miss Gabby Forza on my TV screen last night. And it was really nice to see Jody Threat back on my TV too. I've missed Jody Threat on my television. So I'm really happy of Jody's journey. If you have not been following her on social media, she's in the process of freezing her eggs in order to have children down the line, which we support. And that is something that she wants to do. Again, like I said, it was really fun to see Mrs. Bear Bronson, Gabby Forza, participate. I would really love to see Gabby get signed, but I know that she's only been wrestling for 3 years. But Nomi, we love you, Nomi. I love you, Nomi. But Miss Nomi Gabby Forza, it was so fun to see you. And you know what? As problematic as TNA is being with and how crazy everything's been going on, I still want to root for this company, man. I really do love TNA, and I want to shed light on the positives. I'm really hoping that they can get it together and they can finish out the year strong, and hopefully, knock on wood, we don't lose anybody else. Nothing crazier happens. I'm just really hoping that we get everything together. So yeah, that is it for my TNA Slammiversary post show. A little bit, of course, a little bit on the short side, but I appreciate everyone for being here for this one. And I just want to thank everyone for being, following TNA. We've had a lot of changes to our panel, and we've been, experiencing changes with TNA, but I appreciate you all. And that's actually going to be it for this week. We are officially done, and we had a really fun week this week. We did Eve 151 on Monday, Forbidden Door on Tuesday, Great American Bash, and CMLL on Wednesday, and we're wrapping things up with Slammiversary here. So next week we will be going dark again. I am trading in my vacation choose for a megaphone because I will be gone all next week. But instead of being on vacation, I will be playing recreations director and leading the charge with another person for camp activities at the campground that I'm going to be staying at all next week. So, but I will be home in time next Friday for a TNA post show. So we're going to go back to our regular scheduled programming. And just to give you a heads up, we have the only show we got going on next week is next Friday, which is our TNA post show. And then I will be doing a live watch along for Saturday night's main event for WWE. And hopefully I'll have some friends join me, which should be fun. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And from all of us here at Six Sided Scholars, remember to take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you next Friday for our TNA post show. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace and love, y'all.